and welcome to My Wave Podcast, where on this podcast, we look at one wave. The person we're interviewing today, his name is Kevin Bickers. Actually grew up with this guy didn't grow up with him. High school, we met in the DC area, and we both started surfing about the same time. And he lives in Jacksonville, Florida. Surfs down there. We'll get to know that location a little bit today, and super excited to have him on the air with My Wave Podcast. As you're watching this, please hit like, subscribe, comment below. Please share it with your friends. Just trying to get the word out, story out, and just a place hopefully where we can laugh and learn. And also, if you're just listening on any of the podcast carriers, make sure you subscribe and also share it with your friends. So before we get into the conversation with Kevin, I do want to thank our sponsor for this episode is Shredder Surf Camp. Shredder Surf Camp at Wrightsville Beach. If you're ever down this way and looking for a one-day lesson or a 4-day camp, check them out at shredderssurf.com. Look forward to seeing you join up with them. All right. So Kevin Bickers, Jacksonville, Florida. Now you're in the Jacksonville area. It's like we grew up in the DC area, but you were in New Carrollton. I was in Hyattsville. So are you in Jacksonville proper or?
It's funny. Jacksonville is weird. I'm actually in Jacksonville Beach, technically. That's where I'm actually at. So there's Jacksonville City. Jacksonville proper is about half hour, maybe west inland, but we are technically still called or part of Jacksonville City. Jacksonville is actually one of the biggest landmass cities in the country, if not the biggest, I think. Huh. But so I'm in Jacksonville Beach. Beach is a whole different world than downtown.
Right. How far are you from the beach?
Beach is directly that way, 3/4 of a mile, I guess.
Nice. So you could walk.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you could walk. It'd be a bit of a walk, but yeah, you could walk it. Although I don't actually usually surf directly out front of where I live.
Okay.
So I kind of travel a little bit up a bit away, but you can. I mean, there's waves. When there's waves here, we get it. That's one of the best things to do is just go to a regular, a non-known place because it's probably pretty good. And you can be completely by yourself.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So talk about your beach then. So walk us through. You straight out is what's the name of that break, and then I don't want you to give away your secret spots, but talk about the layout of the beach.
Not honestly, there's not many secret spots around here, but so I guess directly east of me would be 9th Avenue North in Jacksonville Beach, and it's not necessarily known for any surf. I think there is some people that kind of think of there's a Florida Boulevard that's got a following, if you will, and then just north of us is a small beach called Neptune Beach. It's got Florida Boulevard is one, and then 14th. I said Florida Boulevard, 14th Street in Jacks Beach, then Florida Boulevard going north. But honestly, where I typically go is there's a place called Hanna Park. I mean, I say typically, I always go there. There is a pier here that breaks, but I don't typically surf the pier. Very rarely do I surf the pier, even though the pier is closer to me. Hanna Park is a break called the Poles. That's really kind of that's probably the most well-known break in the area.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of people surfing at the Poles.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just it just breaks better because if you look at the lay of the land, the Navy base there, it bends out. It kind of does a little bit of a bend outward, so you get a little bit of a south-facing direction to it as opposed to a dead east, and it just picks up the swell better, carries the swell better when they come in, and then there's a big inlet right there on the north side of where you surf. And, it helps with when you get the big nor'easter to kind of helps clean it up that when it bends it, as it's a southern facing ish, when it comes around that pier, or excuse me, that inlet, it kind of cleans up the swell a little bit. So the nor'easters get you a little bit nicer there as well. So that's kind of, I 99% of the time go to the Poles.
Okay. So, all right. Sweet. When was the last time you were in the water?
It's sad to say it's been a bit. I destroyed my shoulder October 3rd. I was mountain biking and bit it, and I'm 8 weeks out yesterday of a ACL hardcore 6-hour surgery. Oh. So I haven't surfed since probably a few days before October 3rd.
Yeah.
And it has been, and what's funny is all my friends are telling me how they're all thanking me, saying, "Oh, thank you so much for being the sacrificial lamb. It's been There's been tons of waves. It's been one of the better falls we've had in quite a
Oh,
while, supposedly. And I'm just sitting here being miserable and
yeah.
recovering.
No fun. No fun. I always
Yeah.
tell people when I go travel out of the country or whatever on different trips, I'm like, hey, guys, get ready. It's going to start cooking because I'm going out of the country.
Yep. Yep.
And inevitably it does. It does.
I
So,
agree. I think it happens all the time for sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Uh, Does this happen to you or is it just me? Like, it'll be good on the camera. I'll load up my stuff, drive down. I'll get on the beach and the wind changes direction. I'll paddle out and it'll go flat. Is it just me?
Of course. No, of course not. Or even worse is I'll be out there and I feel like I dropped anchor. I'm just sitting there on my marker buoy and everybody else is just surfing around me sometimes. I'm like, what the heck's going on here?
Yeah.
But I also have those days where I am just like, oh my God, the waves, they're all coming to me. I'm just paddle out, go. And everybody else is sitting there looking at me. So it goes around, comes around.
Yes, it does. Yes. Now, Kevin, when did you start surfing?
It's funny. I was just thinking about that. I have to do for my company a presentation. They said 10 things you don't know about somebody doesn't know about you. And one of them I put is I've been surfing for 35 years. So since I was 14.
Right.
When I'm 49. So for 35 years of surfing, I didn't really realize that until just this evening. I was just realized that. So
Yeah. Yeah. Because we met in high school and I started surfing, it seemed like the summer after my freshman year. It seemed like right around then is when I bought my first surfboard and paddled out of Ocean City, Maryland, and got laughed at,
Yeah.
So for you noobs out there, you'll get laughed at. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Stick with it.
Part of the deal.
Yeah.
Part of the deal. Going through the ropes. You got to go through the ropes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now back in high school, we used to load up. You had an uncle that lived up in Rehoboth, was it?
And Bethany Beach.
Bethany Beach. And then we had our friend Adam that moved to Fenwick Island. So we had this little connection, and we'd head out there on the weekends or whenever we had the opportunity. And man, we were kooks. You realize that? I mean,
oh yeah, total weekend warriors just up there trying to, I remember I bought the brightest board I could find. The first board I ever bought was just this TNC, bright pink, yellow, and I guess orange or what. It was just bright as could possibly be.
Yes.
And definitely not the best board to learn on, but I was cool. It looked cool.
Absolutely.
That's part of the attraction.
Absolutely. I had I think it was called a Spectrum Sundancer. It was glassed in fins. Do you ever look back in our high school yearbook and that one picture of all of us? Did you have that TNC then?
I'm almost positive that had to be the board I had then.
Yeah.
It was back and right around that time for sure. Because that's the board I had till I got into college, I guess, probably. Maybe not. I got
That's
one
cool.
before that.
So when was the first wave you rode? Started at 14, but I mean, did you pick it up right away?
No, actually. Honestly, I don't remember the first wave I actually caught. I mean, it was in Bethany. There was one kid that was a local there, lived there year round. And he was I remember just being all him surfing, watching how good he was.
Yeah.
And I would go out there and flail around. I don't remember actually the first wave I really caught. I'm sure I caught some. Honestly, the first wave I ever really remember catching and going like, oh, that's what surfing's like, was at Avalon Pier down your way.
Is that the wave we're going to talk about tonight?
No, I thought about that.
Okay.
But it's basically nothing really to tell other than I got up and was able to pump down the line and was like, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like. That just moment of being in sync with the wave and just feeling just going up the top and coming down and just a real mellow. I didn't do anything, but I just actually rode the wave and generated speed. That's a big thing. That's a big learning, curve. So that was what I thought about it, but there's really not much to the story other than that. But although that and it was dark, it was getting dark and there was guys fishing off the end of the pier. And I remember seeing the sharks.
There you go.
They were checking. So that's pretty interesting story.
I was surfing at Avalon. I don't think it was the time that whole crew that you were whose van was that you all piled into?
John Weiss was his name.
John Weiss. Yeah. That was so crazy that day. I was surfing Avalon Pier in Outer Banks and I was by myself. There was a couple people out, a little fun little wave. And I turn around and I see these guys paddling out. I was like, who? No way. It's Kevin and Jeremy. And I was just blown away. Of all places that you all stopped, you stopped there. And that was so cool.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Small world.
It really is.
Yeah.
My dad was fishing on the pier and I just took a break from surfing, and I walked up on the pier and was looking over the side while my dad was fishing, and this probably 8-9 foot hammerhead just swimming between the pylons right where I was just surfing. I was like, oh,
Yep.
I think I'm gonna go eat some lunch.
They
So
are out there. That's for sure.
they are. We're in their neighborhood. It's
Right.
great. Had any shark encounters? Like
Um,
other than that, like recently?
the only thing I can say is there was one summer that I call it the Gary Condit summer. There was nothing on the news at the time. It was just before 9/11, and I was surfing down in Melbourne Beach, and I saw my first shark in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny about that story is a year later to the day, it was August 24th, I think it was, to the day, almost within the hour, I hadn't seen any sharks. I was surfing here in Jacksonville Beach, or at Hannah Park, probably, I guess, at the Poles, and saw a shark within an hour of what I'd seen it a year prior to that. So I've declared for myself, for me personally, August 24th is not allowed. I don't go in the water on August 24th, which kind of stinks because it's hurricane season, right? I mean, I've missed surf because of that rule I had where I'm like, okay, that's the shark's day. That's the shark's day. So I don't go in the water on August 24th.
Oh man.
But no real encounters. I've known a number of people that have gotten bit, nothing major, but but knock on wood, I haven't,
Yeah. And then we have a mutual friend named Jeremy Manella. We need to get him on here in the future.
Yeah.
And he lives in Long Beach, California, and surfs up towards Huntington Beach a lot, Bolsa Chica and all that area. And he texted us, what's that, a year or two ago? Hey boys, got bumped by a great white today.
Just he said, what he said was the guy in the, what did he call him? The man in the gray suit.
Yeah.
The man in the gray suit.
Yeah. He said it was he said it was just a juvenile.
Oh, God.
Anyway. So what are you riding right now? What's your go-to board?
I've been riding the same board because I just got hooked on it. There's a guy here, you guys may have heard of him, named Jason Moats. He's a big, well-known character around here. And years ago, he was, I don't know if he was repping boards, selling boards, I forget, but he gave me this board. He said, you need to try this board. And he said, it's like cheating. It's like cheating, Kevin. It makes it so ridiculously easy. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And I never forget, I stood up the first wave, I stood up on it, and the board took off. I was like, whoa. And I had to catch up with the board. It felt like cheating. Paddling it as well as surfing it. So it's an M10 Hogfish. I've loved that board. I've had the same board. I've actually had two of them. I still have two of them, two different colors. I swear the purple one's faster than the orange one, but anyways, they're identical shapes and everything, but but yeah, that's what I ride. I've ridden that thing all over the place, and like triple overhead and El Salvador and to Mush here in Jax Beach, and it's worked. I love it. It's it's just such a great it's worked everywhere, so I don't mess with it.
Yeah. What size?
5'10".
5'10".
I'm sorry, 5'8". Okay. I thought it was 5'10" for the longest time, and then I realized it's 5'8".
Because I ride a 5'10" by Jason Moats, the company the Savage
Savage, yeah.
So that I ride Savage board, and it's a 5'10" creature that he modified a little bit for me. I love it, I really do. But that's pretty cool, man. Because I'm a little taller than you, and
just a slightly bit,
just a little. I'm 6 foot, and you're
5'6" on a tall day.
5'6" on a tall day. So yeah, so that's like a step up board for a lot of people to
Right,
ride 5'10", 5'8". Well, that's cool, man. Yeah. So what wave are we going to talk about?
I know the wave. I'm just trying to think if I had to call it a name. I never even thought about the name, but I guess
where was it?
It was a surprise wave. I call it the surprise wave. Surprise session, actually, to a certain degree. It was at there's a place down. So of course everybody's heard of Sebastian Inlet, right?
Yeah.
And there's a break there. So there's numerous breaks in that area. You have the main break right on the north side of Sebastian Inlet. And then there's something called Spanish House, just a little north of that, and another break a little north of that called Long Beach. Why they call it Long Beach, I don't know, because it's not like Long Beach, California. But anyways, we had come down. A buddy of mine had come down to visit a friend of ours who lives in that area from Jacksonville. Just the swell was going to hit there better than here. So we went down and we'd surfed that morning at Long Beach break, that beach break. It's a beach break. and it was just thumping, just this, it was a hurricane swell. Just, I can't remember honestly what hurricane it was. It was, in the fall, just thumping, perfect wave, just incredible wave. We surfed until we couldn't breathe anymore there.
Good days.
Yeah, exactly, for hours. And then we went and like, I'm literally like getting out of the water. You can't paddle. You're so tired, right? And we were done. We were like, me and my buddy Russ were done. Russ Wilson's his name. We were done. And this guy James we were with, he's a James Benke. Benke is out his name. He's just a beast. He's got endless, and he's like you. He's like you, Kyle. Endless energy, endless energy. And he's built like you too, tall, thin, and just. Anyways, we went and got something to eat, and Russ and I were ready to go to sleep. And he's like, let's go to Monster Hole. So Monster Hole is, so you have the inlet, and if you go on the south side of the inlet, you paddle out. It's got to be maybe a half mile offshore.
Really?
You get is where the break is.
Okay.
And it's called Monster Hole. I honestly don't know the real reason why it's called Monster Hole, but the whole it makes you, when you're out there, you get the feeling that you're out there amongst the monsters.
Sure.
That's the feeling of it. So we were done. We were like, and it's a long paddle out to get out to.
And this is the same day. This is the same day that.
Same day. Yeah.
You surfed Long Beach and wore out.
Yeah, we were exhausted. We were done. Had a fantastic day. We were satisfied. We were like, oh, we're good. We drove down here. We got waves. We're going to drive back probably at some point. And James was like, no, let's go to Monster Hole. So we you drive over a bridge and you can look out at it. And it looks so far out there. And we're like, there's no way we're paddling that. So me and Russ are like, we're half at, we're like, oh, I don't know. We're kind of dragging our feet, like, I guess we'll paddle, So we finally paddle. We're paddling slow. And we start to and there's only like about 10 guys in the water.
Yeah.
And we're seeing these waves come in, and we're like, and it's a left. It's a long, when it breaks, it's incredibly long. So it's a backside for me.
Okay. So you're regular footed.
I'm regular foot. Yeah. But Russ and I are both regular foot. I think James was as well. But anyways, so we're like just lollygagging to get out to it. And we're not really paying attention too much. And then we start to just kind of, and we don't want to just jump right on the guys at the peak, So we just kind of slowly start meandering out to meander. We took our time because we're tired. Yeah. So we probably took 15, 20 minutes after we got out to start getting into the lineup, Anyway, so I finally catch, drop in on one and mess up that wave.
Yeah.
Because I've been lollygagging and so tired. I'm like, oh my God, you're an idiot. So anyways, drop in at the second one, and it was perfect. It was when you're looking down the line and you can see the perfect just going reeling on forever.
All right. So is this your wave? Is this the wave we're going to talk about? Wave. Okay. So let's slow down and let's break it down. All right. So Monster Hole, exhausted.
Monster Hole.
Paddled out.
That's probably I don't know why we were taking so long to get to the lineup, because it was plenty of waves. We didn't have to we could have just paddled right straight to the peak, but I think we were just using it as an excuse just because we were so friggin' tired and we didn't want to go straight out and paddle.
Right.
And catch
so what's the vibe of the other guys in the water? I mean, some places are very local only. Some places are super chill. What was, as you approached it, obviously that was part of your assessment too.
Yeah, it was pretty mellow one because there was not that many people. And the other thing is at Monster Hole, you have to constantly be paddling because you're so far out, you're getting ripped, you're getting torn, current is pulling you, and you have an inlet right there that's trying to take you out to sea. So you're getting pulled whichever the current's going, but you also have the inlet of the river is taking you out to sea. So you're constantly having to paddle. So we were already exhausted. But I don't remember them, the guys that were there, they were catching waves and we didn't really interact with them too much because we were kind of sitting off to the side a little bit initially. So it was one of those perfect days, man, where there was no problems, plenty of waves for everybody.
Good. Yeah.
And because the wave is so long that once the guy took off on a wave, he would take, 10 minutes or something to get paddle back.
Right.
If he rushed, he could get back quicker, but he knew he didn't have to rush because there was plenty of waves to get there. So it was really mellow vibe.
Right.
There was no whatever, no localism, if you will, at all. There is that there. There certainly is that in that area. But at this particular day, there was nothing. It was all very mellow. Because I think, again, most all these guys had all surfed earlier as well. So everybody was just like, the fat and happy lion. And this was just like, extra meat, but it was spectacular. It was
Yeah.
so good, such a good wave break. And what's weird is it didn't look like that when we were looking at it with binoculars up on the bridge to go check it out. And we're like, it looks okay, we really didn't get. But once we got out to it, because you're looking at well over a half mile. It was a half mile away, well over a half mile away from where we were looking at it with the binocular. So we didn't really have any high expectations either. That's the other thing. We paddled out there like, okay, we'll just catch a couple waves. I've surfed. I had never surfed it. Russ and I had never surfed there too. It's like, okay, we'll check it off the box. We've surfed a monster hole. We've been there. Not expecting it to be. It was. Anyways, I'll get into that, I guess. But
yeah. How big did you say it was?
It wasn't giant. I would say like head and a half high.
Okay.
But not really like hard pitching. It was a real easy, mellow takeoff.
Yeah.
It was just literally the old two-stroke. You knew there was one guy that was in the right spot, and you didn't even bother going for it because he was in the right spot, right? And he was set up. You just would wait for the next one. So yeah, it was just one of those just perfect sessions where the session in general was just like that, right?
Right.
But this first wave, again, I think part of the why it was so imprinted on me memory-wise is because it was so unexpected to be as spectacular as it ended up being, because it just didn't look like it was going to be that good when we started paddling it and we started the initial paddle out. We got out to him, we're like, oh my God, and we seen the guys riding and we were like, oh my God, this is off the charts. So yeah, it was like head and a half high, light offshore, all the beautiful factors. Light offshore. It was that late afternoon, nice, nice beautiful day, sunny with a few, the white puff clouds around. It was, I actually had a full belly, so I wasn't hungry. I was, I was feeling good from that perspective. I only regret, I guess, is not regret, but I was tired, right, because I had been surfing so much. But it honestly was one of those things. As long as I could paddle to keep myself in position where the break was, because of the rip, not the rip, but the currents and everything moving. The wave itself was just unreal. It was unreal. It was fantastic. So yeah, that was kind of the setup, I guess.
Before you take off on this wave, is there something important to share with folks about know your limits? Know your abilities, know your limits, because you're talking about being exhausted, putting yourself out away from shore in current at a river mouth or inlet mouth. There's a lot of factors there. So, what would you say to somebody that's new, somebody that's trying to figure this whole thing out? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, that was certainly a consideration for both of us. We were both tired. We knew that, and we're taking a I guess a calculated risk in that. And I think that's partially why we were going easy, right? We weren't just charging hard at it and going to trying to just go hardcore at it. Yeah, I mean, you got to be really conscious of that always. Where you are, what you're doing. And it's always good to have a buddy with you in that scenario specifically. And it's always, I get it. I like surfing by myself as well. But in that particular kind of scenario, certainly want to have someone with you. And I make it a habit always anyways, just to make sure because I've lost my board before, and that was kind of the most scared I've ever been. It's another story. I always check the leash tie, the rope, and make sure my leash is in good shape. Because that's your lifeline really. And when it gets ugly, nothing, you've at least got that to dig your fingernails into to hold on to if it comes down to it, right? And if that board gets ripped away from you and you're out there, especially in that scenario, it could be ugly. Yeah, so that's certainly a consideration. If I had anybody's advice, I would say to check your leash. If there's any piece of equipment that you want to retire before it quits on you, before it breaks on you, is your leash. Make sure you keep the leash up to date.
I had the leash tether this I can't remember which hurricane it was. We surfed in the morning for a few hours, went down to Carolina Beach, surfed for a few hours, and then we came back, and I took my youngest son, Drew. We paddled out, and it was his biggest day ever. It was 6-8 feet, just super fun. And my leash, the little string, snapped, and I was riding. It was a 9.2. It was a longboard, and I was trying to get my shoulders a break, and that thing took off like a rocket. I was outside the pier, and when it snapped, I looked back at the beach looking for my board in the whitewater, and it wasn't in the whitewater. It was on the beach. And I saw guys running towards the board, and I thought, I just killed somebody. Because there were kids swimming and everything, and that thing just rocketed down, and I thought, I just killed somebody. And because people running down, and what they were doing, they were running down because it was so close to the pier, they didn't want the board to get smashed in the pylons. And so they were rescuing my board, which I was so thankful for. One, that I didn't kill anybody, but two, that they were helping me get my board. But I had to swim in. It was against the current. The current was sucking me into the pier. I had to go back out and go back down the beach and swim back in. So yeah, knowing your limits, surfing with other people. Yeah, good advice. So take me off on that wave. Saw it coming. You were in priority.
Yeah. We kind of slowly worked ourselves, into the mix. And again, it was one of those, it was obvious who was in the spot, right, in the priority position. And again, there's a whole, there's a string of guys that are paddling out. That's what's another beautiful thing about the wave being so long, is that there wasn't really much of a queue, right? There was 5 guys that were paddling out when there was 5 of us out there waiting to catch. It was a beautiful cycle. It was great. And that's why, you asked about the vibe. I mean, maybe these guys were locals and maybe they were very local like, but it was so easy for everybody. And they couldn't push it because, even if they wanted to be local, like, they couldn't do it because they took the wave away. It's an incredibly long wave when it's doing its thing, and it was doing its thing today. But so yeah, I'm in the spot, and my buddy is right next to me. He's right in line behind me, and of course he's backing me up in case I screw up. So he's gonna take it from me if I mess it up. But yeah, so again, like I said, it was just one of those. You see it coming. It's just okay. This is my wave. And please don't let me mess this up, because I'm gonna get back in the queue.
I don't know if you play golf, but you're standing there and the next group's coming up behind you. You're like,
yep.
Don't mess this.
And you're like, oh, I don't want to look like an idiot. Yeah, exactly. So, but I had already messed up one earlier. But the one I had messed up earlier was like kind of like I just hopped a shoulder on one of ones just to kind of get in works of things, and I realized like, oh, okay, this is not just this is a legit wave coming through here. So. We were way inside. We hadn't even gotten out to the peak yet. But well, anyway, so I did the old, it's a 2-stroke up, and I guess remember I have a vivid visual of it, and I'll tell you why. I actually have a vivid visual of it because I've been able to relive it, and I'll get to that in a second. But just drop in and you come on the bottom turn and you turn and look, and you just see this beautiful line ahead of you that you have. It's a playground. It's your playground now. All of a sudden, here we are. Here's my wave, my playground. And it was a perfect wave. There was no guessing what the wave was going to do. You knew exactly what it was going to give you. Even it's the first wave I did. I could tell it was really like a man-made wave almost. It was just so in the exact right, perfect spot the entire time. So just, bottom turn, crack, and then night, and there's waves that punch back at you as opposed to when it's soft and it doesn't give you any pushback. No. This one punch back at you. Yeah. And then it did have. There's one section toward not right on the takeoff, but shortly after the takeoff where it would pitch. And you could see that coming. So it was just more of like I'm not going to say it was barrel, but it was more of a cover up. But you could see it coming, a little cover up.
Yeah.
And then just another line, just that was the best part, is just the line going on forever. And just, I think I must have, smacked it a dozen times or more on just that one wave all the way in. And I remember being, the only other time I felt like this on a wave was in Pavones in Costa Rica, being tired from the actual act of riding a wave, which Pavones is another left, a very long left. And that was the same feeling. I'm like, oh my God, my legs are actually tired, because that doesn't happen here typically. Tired from surfing right now. It's such an awesome feeling. But what's funny is, you're so tired from that morning session, all that went away. There was everything was perfect. I was just had, like, as my first wave ever ridden that day, and was feeling great. To just go all the way down the line until it, finally you just kick out the back, nice and easy.
Yeah.
It was nothing spectacular. I didn't do anything crazy, any boosting airs or anything, nothing crazy. but it was just such a beautiful wave and unexpected for the
Mm-hmm.
day, and just where where I was, way out in, way out in the
Yeah.
middle of the water. All those elements came together to make it such a memorable wave. Um, and But there's a little cherry on top of that.
Hold on.
That
Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll get to the cherry
Dude,
if you want. But
I'm
yeah.
salivating. You don't have to throw food into this. So let's back up. So nothing necessarily that you did on this wave that was, you didn't throw in air, you didn't
Nope.
do something
A little minor cover up,
right,
but
right, which is
overly
always a
spectacular.
bonus. But have you been in better waves than that before?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because you had
Been in some-
mentioned Costa Rica.
El
Where else?
Salvador, yeah.
Where else have you traveled?
Costa Rica, El Salvador, Puerto Rico, Mexico. I think that's it. Is that it? I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mexico, Puerto Rico, El Salvador. Oh, Nicaragua. That's
yeah.
Nicaragua.
Do you do a trip like that annually? Is that like a getaway for you?
I try to.
Mm-hmm.
I try to, but I fell off the wagon a bit recently. I'm trying to think of the last time. It was 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago that I was
Yeah.
last time on a surf trip.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did Jeremy go
But
with you, or did you go with Jeremy? You've gone out with Jeremy too.
I have not surfed with Jeremy outside of going surfing with him in California.
Right.
Out there, I've surfed with him out there, but never have I. We've talked about, which I'd love to still do, is go surf, do the camping surfing trip, the Big Sur.
Yeah. Yeah. He's invited me out to that a few times.
Mm-hmm.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, that would be incredible. So he's described it, and just I'm like, that sounds like a fantasy, because it mixes two, camping. I love camping and surfing. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And just throwing some mountain biking there, and I'd be in the trifecta.
So what in those Central American countries, do you have picture perfect days?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. So many fantastic days. I'd say of all of them, the best I made out was in El Salvador.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been to Costa Rica, I think, I don't know, 12 times or something like that. And it's always awesome. You always get some sort of wave. And I've had some spectacular waves there. But overall, I'd have to say the waves in El Salvador have been the best in general, from the size wise, quality wise, consistency, just the overall scenario has been better there than the other trips I've had. And again, that's doing a disservice to the other trips, which I don't mean to do. And if I had to pick, El Salvador has been, and a couple of, there's Las Flores there has been incredible. But if I had to pick one break in El Salvador, is Punta Mango. It's you reminded me of actually earlier talking about rescuing your board, getting your board rescued. It's a point break, kind of like one of those weird ones where you're surfing right along as the wave breaks, it's right along the shore the entire way.
Really?
So you're only like 30 yards, maybe 30 yards off the shore, because the wave breaks right along in this cove, in this bay. So you're really close to land.
Yeah.
So you feel like you're safe from that perspective.
Right.
But yeah, that's Punta Mango. My buddy, reason why my board scenario is real quick is we're surfing and my buddy dropped in. This is a pitching barreling wave. This is one of those waves you're getting barreled or you're not, or you're getting destroyed. And I'm inside, and he would be shaking his head right now because he owed me this one, apparently, is allegedly his story. But he dropped in on me, and I had to basically straighten out, or I was getting creamed. So I straightened out, and when I talking about your leash being it snapped my leash, snapped the little rope that you were talking about earlier. Took my board and was going to go up, smash it up on the rocks, and there was some guys there, like it was nothing around but jungle. They come and grab my board, so I have to swim. I swim down into the cove and come up, and I'm thinking, oh my god, they're gonna, I'm thinking that worst, dumb American thinking worst case scenario, these guys are gonna try and bribe me and everything. And while I'm walking up to get my board, I get a big thorn in my foot. I come limping up to them, these guys, and they look unsavory as far as I'm concerned, being dumb American. And I'm thinking, oh god, what are they gonna do here? They're gonna try and make me pay for my board back. And the guy, I can't speak Spanish well, and he can't speak English, and he sees I've got a thorn in my foot, and he has me sit down. He goes, he's like, tell me, signal. I'm like, okay, I sit down. I'm like, what? And he goes and breaks another thorn off, digs the thorn out of my foot, gives me my board back, and gives me a shaka, and just smiles at me. I was like, oh my god, I'm such an idiot. I'm thinking here, the worst case scenario, this guy's gonna try and bribe me to give my board, because it was 3 of them, and I'm like, he just all he did was make me sit down, pick the thorn out of my foot, and send me back out surfing. That was a night. I mean, so
he probably watched you get destroyed and thought, "Oh, this poor guy, he needs all the help he can
this poor
get."
guy, yeah, exactly. So
That's
I bring that
awesome.
one up all the time. My buddy Russ. That was the same guy Russ that I was with that he did that to me. So
Yeah. So when you get your shoulder all fixed up and you get another trip planned out, hit me up. Let's see if we can make it happen.
I would love to. Yeah,
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
So answer this question. We got just a few minutes. We're gonna wind it down. But what drives you going 12 times? You said to Costa Rica.
12 times to Costa Rica, 3 times to El Salvador. Yeah.
What? All for waves, right?
I've been to Costa Rica once. That wasn't specifically to surf. I surfed while I was there, but it wasn't a surf trip.
But you still surf there.
Oh yeah, surf while I was there, but it wasn't a full blown just surf. Usually I go there and these trips I'm talking about, it's nothing but surf. You surf, eat, sleep, surf, eat. That's
what drives that. What is it about surfing that drives that addictive behavior you're describing?
That's a good question. I guess it's that hook that I mean, I always think about the one thing I always say that's interesting, that's incredible about surfing is it's one of the few activities, skiing's great, water skiing's great, snow skiing, snowboarding, all these activities, rock climbing, all these things. But it's the one element or one activity or sport, I guess, where the elements are moving the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
You're having to adjust to nature. It's not like you have a skate ramp. A skate ramp's great, but you can master it. You can, it's always evolving, always changing. So I think that's one of the biggest allures for me for surfing in general. And then just going somewhere with really good quality waves and different type of wave and different, traveling in itself, of course, is great.
Mm-hmm.
But surfing while you're traveling somewhere is different or unique is a whole nother experience.
Yeah.
And you get to bond with people that are from other parts of the world.
Sure.
As much as you may not want to sometimes, it's always good to interact with other people from around the world. But I mean, just hooking into an unknown wave, maybe, because you get comfortable here and it's great. I love catching my waves here. I have no problems surfing here. Love it. But surfing a break that is different than yours. I don't surf point breaks very much. That's probably, I guess, one of the biggest attractions is surfing point break. Is unique and different from here. But,
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So Monster Hole, finish it off, the grin, the satisfaction. Did you claim it?
Yep.
Did you like?
Yeah, I remember it's one after you kick out. It wasn't like I just felt like it was such a mellow. I could at the end of it, I just could kick out and look up my buddy, and he's coming down the line behind me. He caught one right behind me, so I got to see him catch one just as right behind me.
Yeah.
But again, nothing overly spectacular. I surfed better waves. I've personally surfed better on waves, But it was just all the overall scene and just Monster Hole and just being a beautiful backside and just so easy. It almost seemed like I was in a wave pool. But the cherry on top was I can't remember how it transpired, but one of the guys that was in the water, he knew James, the other guy that took us there. And I don't know how he put it together. There was some guys that were out and had a boat that kind of anchored a bit offshore.
Yeah.
But inside a little bit.
Yeah.
And they had filmed me on that exact wave, and they took it. They didn't know who I was. They took this. They put it to a Black Keys song.
Yeah.
And it was. You see, I'm coming out of line, crack, and they're outside the break. So at the last little sections, you see crack it, and then go down. I disappear. And it was a video they just made just for the heck of it. Whoever made it.
Right.
And somehow the guy that my buddy knew somehow recognized that the guy that was with his buddy and blah 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 got the video in my hand, and I got the video from that session unexpectedly. Didn't even know anybody. It was just nobody else was around. We're half mile offshore. Didn't expect
was this
that.
Was this on a VHS, man? Or did you...
No, it wasn't VHS. It was not so. I forget. Actually, now that I think about it, this may have been like 6 years ago or something like that. Maybe, I think something. But yeah, so I actually have a clip of that wave.
I'd love to see
from
it,
that
man.
day.
I'd love to see it someday.
That was the cherry on top. I should
That's
say. So,
sick. I thought you were going to say, that is an amazing, amazing cherry. I thought you were going to say, they were like, hey, jump in the boat. We'll take y'all in. You don't have to paddle the rest of the way in.
oh no, that was just
No.
the beginning of the. So,
Oh,
yeah,
that's sick. That's
awesome.
sick. Man,
Yeah.
it has been awesome catching up with you, talking to you. Before we close this out, what would be some advice you would give to a younger surfer, someone that's just learning, trying? What would you tell them?
Keep at it. Keep at it. Just going after it. Keep going after it. Going after it. You'll all of a sudden like I said, that wave at the Avalon Pier, totally unexpected. All of a sudden it was like, oh my God, and
Yeah.
that's what it'll come. It'll take time. I always say that surfing is one of the hardest sports to learn, but the easiest sport to do once you kind of figure it out a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a massive learning curve. Just keep at it and you'll get it. You'll get it
Yeah.
eventually.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, man, I don't want
Yep.
this to end, but I guess it's
I
gotta.
know. It was just a snap. I felt like we just started.
Flown by. No, I appreciate you, man. We need to get together again, and before my shoulders fall apart, and get some sessions in. And you're welcome to come up to Wrightsville Beach anytime. And next time I work my way through Florida, I'll have to definitely bring my board. I think.
Yeah. Thanks for the invite, by the way.
Didn't I have my board when we met for lunch, just in case? I think I did pack it.
I'm sure you did. I'd be surprised if you didn't.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I packed it because we were trying to connect for either a session or at least a dinner, and we got the dinner.
Yeah. You never know. That was good to have a board there.
Never do, man. Never
Yeah.
do. Well, thank you very much. And
It was fun. It was
man,
awesome.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right, bro.
Talk to you
Later.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening in on My Wave Podcast. I want to give a shout out to the podcast studio that I'm in right now, Copilot. You can follow them on Instagram at Copilot Studio. And y'all, until we meet again, don't forget, surfing is a biblical sport. Acts 27, verse 44, it says that when the ship broke apart, they all made it to shore, some on pieces of the ship and others on boards. Take care.